Yo, and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Ryan. How you doing, boy?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good to see you again, buddy. How are you enjoying your summer?
Not bad. Just got back from a long trip, so first couple days back into work. Pretty rough, but at least have the weekend this weekend to rest up and get back on the grind. But yeah, been a great summer. How about you?
Not bad. I mean, before we move on to my summer, it feels like you were out recording the live version of The Lion King.
It felt like it at times, for sure.
What was the most interesting thing that you got to see, you think?
We saw a leopard carrying its cub in its teeth for like a good 3 or 4 minutes, and it walked like literally right past me. I could have picked it up if I wanted to get my face clawed. Yeah, that was definitely the best thing. And like, yeah, the safari guy was like, I can't believe that just happened. 'Cause leopards are pretty rare to see, and for them to be carrying their young in their mouth for a good stretch, like walking right past me was wild. There's another thing where we got out of the Jeep to check out some rhinos close up, and they got up and looked like they were about to charge us, and our guide like had the stick, and he basically just like waved him off. And he was like 10 minutes before we got in the Jeep, he was like, so if an elephant or a rhino or anything looks like it's about to charge, just freeze, don't make any sudden movements. The last thing you want to do is run away. That will, make them actually charge. Just, don't move. And so, of course, we get up. They get up. They're about to charge us, and somebody in our group is an idiot, starts running, and the guide's like losing his mind. And then, he finally got him to sit back down, and then we like slowly walked away. So that got me jacked up for a bit. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, those two were the best. But yeah, overall, it was an awesome trip.
Amazing. Which country was this, by the way?
We made a few stops, so I'm a big planner, and so like I plan. I'm not to pat myself in the back, but I plan my ass off on this one. You should see the spreadsheet. But we were in Ghana, South Africa, Eswatini, and then on the way back we connected in Doha in Qatar. So we stayed there for a few days before we flew back.
Oh, fair. I mean, being a good planner is a useful trait as a Fantrax manager, right? And that's why we're here, to talk about Fantrax.
It is, yes. Good segue.
I mean, long story short, my summer's okay. We finally got hot days. But anyways, let's get back to the Fantrax. Ryan, tell us your full name, your Twitter handle, your club that you're representing on today's episode, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Let me see if I can remember all those. Ryan Barnes, Twitter handles at CNFC82. I support Arsenal. Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, but live in Washington, D.C., and I work in tech.
Awesome. All right, listeners, welcome back to another Inside Trax series episode. Quick breakdown for how this episode's going to go. We'll have a bit of a general discussion. We'll talk about any sort of change in managers, coaches, ownership, previous season performance versus new season's expectations, old system versus new system. Just talk a little bit about some of the key transfers in and out of the club, expected formation and starting 11 for the upcoming season. And then obviously we're going to chat Fantrax. We're going to get a bit of draft advice from Ryan. First pick from Arsenal, next 3 picks, at least one hidden gem. And one new thing that we've kind of added this season, which I think is useful, is a possible trap as well. And then we'll round things off by getting advice from Ryan regarding, trading draft picks, how he, runs his waivers, any buy low, sell high Arsenal assets, how he manages Fab, and more. All right, let's get started. No change, same manager, same owners,
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with where we are. So I'm happy to stay put with Arteta and the Crunkies. I never thought I'd say that about the Crunkies, but yeah, they've actually held up their end of the bargain. So yeah, happy to keep with this regime.
Any new coaches or anything like that we should be aware of? You think will make an impact?
Not that I know of. I know that we lost our one of the medical staff before last season to Man United, and they had, I think, a ton of injuries. So I was happy with that departure. But yeah, the big one is the set piece coach, which as we'll probably get into, worked wonders last season. So yeah, we're staying put.
Definitely. I thought you guys might have grabbed someone from Dubai as well halfway through the season, but I guess that was just all salt.
Yeah, whatever the hell happened in Dubai, I'd like to replicate that if I could. Maybe bring Salt Bay. Salt Bay's already got a place in London, so yeah, maybe we
There you
just
go.
frequent there a bit more.
I mean, we might as well then touch on previous season performance, man. What another stellar season for you boys. Just 2
Yeah.
points shy of the title.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because obviously in a lot of seasons that's more than enough to win the title, and it's pretty brutal to get second and get so close to Man City yet again. But yeah, honestly, cannot ever complain. 5 years ago, I did not think we'd be even close to a title charge. So to be in one. And to improve upon last season, going from, I think, 84 to 89 points, and then not really losing any steam at the end of the season, just, finishing with a bang and taking them to the last day. Can't really complain. That Villa game at home sticks out, but I mean, and that week in December when lost to Fulham and West Ham, my God. Those stick out.
Games.
Yeah, that 1 week in late December was brutal. But all in all, it was an amazing season.
I mean, I want to argue if your season had started after the Salt Bay visit, you potentially could have been lifting that trophy.
Oh, 100%. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but if it was just the second half of the season, I think we definitely would have.
Yeah, because I think you only had one loss in that run as well.
Yeah, Aston Villa.
Yeah, man, it's tough. But I mean, let's talk about a bit more positive stuff. Back in Europe, back in the Champions League. I mean, you got as far as the quarterfinals. It was a bit of a shock exit, I want to say, to Bayern Munich, but still, I think you guys played well.
Yeah, that was a tricky one because. Yeah, a lot of people were saying that it was a down season for Bayern, and it was domestically, but one of those teams that just has European pedigree, and definitely outplayed them in the first leg, and they just had a bit more experience, I think, in the second leg to get it over the line. But I was very happy with our European performance, especially since being out of the Champions League for so long. So
6 years,
really
I think it was.
there either. It was longer than that. It was 7 or 8, I think.
Okay. I mean, do you consider the Community Shield a trophy?
Oh yeah, hell yeah! If you're considering the energy drink cup Carabao a trophy, then hell yeah, Community Shield is, especially if you beat Man City.
Yeah, there you go then. Some positivity to the season at the end, right? But yeah, I mean, talking about, like, let's say new season's expectations, surely has to be title again.
100%. You gotta think we'll get better. I mean, you say it every season, but some sense of complacency has to creep in with City. The charges will get hopefully a bit more real this season as well. Whether that's starting the hearings or potentially getting a ruling and a potential point deduction. I think that will have to have some sort of an impact. But yeah, and I think it's also going to be Pep's last season. Sees the writing on the wall. Last year of his contract. So I really want to get a title, especially before he leaves. So you can't just be like, well, you couldn't get it done before Pep. He had to leave to get a title. I think this team deserves to get one while he's still in England. But yeah, I mean, you got to think that we'll be back in the title race.
Yeah, let's hope for the changing of the guard for sure. Old system versus new system. Or is it just gonna be same system?
I mean, if it ain't broke, touched on the second half of the season and being lights out. So no more experimentation with Kai at left center mid. I think we're going to keep the same exact system, at least initially. I think there'll be a few personnel tweaks that we can get into, but yeah, it'll be the same kind of 4-3-3 system, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Granit Xhaka, the person that Kai replaced initially in that role. Had a stellar season at Bayer Leverkusen, winning the Bundesliga. What a way to stick it to Harry Kane, even when you're not in the Prem.
Yeah, that was nice to see, and it reinforced how much we missed him. Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, I think if he would have stayed one more season, I think he probably would have got us over the line. But I'm glad that it worked out for him in Germany.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk about some of the key ins that you had last summer that made a massive impact on the team and their performance across the season. David Raya, on loan from Brentford. I'm assuming that's going to be a permanent signing moving forward.
Yeah, they already triggered that clause.
Okay, so, I mean, you are expecting him number one still, right? Had a bit of a shaky start initially, right? But I think he eventually settled in.
Yeah, he had a couple self-inflicted wounds that just made me want to tear my hair out. And then, I don't know if you remember the game, but he was suspended against Brentford, and then Ramsdale comes in and then gifts that one goal away.
To Vissa, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, I think Arteta has the goalkeepers on edge or playing in a suicidal way that leads to that stuff because, otherwise our defense was almost impenetrable. But, he'll keep his spot.
Yeah. Jurrien Timber had a very unfortunate start to his career at Arsenal. I believe he is fit again. Even towards the end of last season, there was a video or a clip of him going around where he scored an absolute banger outside the box or something like that, right? What are your expectations from him as a player next season?
I think that Arteta brought him in to not revolutionize the 11, but really had high hopes for him to be able to invert from both sides of the fullback position. And I think he had really big plans for him. And so to lose him on the first game of the season for essentially the entire season was a big blow. A lot of people don't talk about Arsenal having too many injury worries last season, but I think losing him basically the whole season was a big one, and he'll be like a new signing. So I expect him to be quite a revelation this season if he can fully recover from that nasty injury. But yeah, he played a couple, I think, U23 games at the very tail end of last season, and yeah, he had an incredible goal in one of those games. It just kind of whet the appetite. So I'm very excited to see him this season.
So like, to Fantrax managers that are interested in Timber, I mean, this is for future segments, so let me not jump too ahead, because I was getting quite excited, wanting to chat about where we can draft them. Let's go on to the next name. One of the biggest impacts, I think, on the squad. Well, I mean, there's probably two of them, but let's start with Decky Rice. What a player! What a lad! I didn't know he could take corners that well.
Yeah, neither did Martinelli, apparently. He was an incredible player. I knew he was. I mean, anybody that saw him at West Ham would be lying if you didn't think he was a great player and well worth the 100 million fee. I mean, it's crazy that nobody's even questioning that fee, and it seems like a bargain at this point.
I mean,
because he's just
the same thing happened with Ben
player.
White as well, right? People
Yeah,
mocked it initially, and now you don't hear a fucking whisper from anybody.
I wasn't balking at the Rice fee, but I certainly was at Ben White. I just remember seeing him, I think, on loan at Leeds, and I was like, 50 million for that guy? Are you kidding me? Not that I didn't, obviously trust Arteta's talent ID, but 50 million I thought was crazy. But as you probably know better than anyone else, Brighton can drive a hard bargain when they want to. But he ended up being a steal as well. He's
a bit of a cult hero as well, I think.
Yeah, he's one of those weird players that, like, from all accounts, he doesn't watch football, doesn't particularly like football. Like, I don't know if you remember, and I hate to talk about Spurs, but Benoit Asuakoto. I don't know if you remember his left back for Spurs. In the 2000s, he famously said it was a job. Didn't like football outside of the 9 to 5. And Ben White is just like that. Looks like he's in Love Island and doesn't like the game that he dedicates his entire life to. He's a bit of an odd duck.
Great sense of humor. He's one of the funniest Arsenal players, I think.
He is. We needed a shithouser, especially with the departure of Xhaka and his set piece exploits. If we just had a camera on him during every corner kick, I think it'd be very entertaining. But yeah, he's been awesome.
Definitely. Final name from that summer window, Kai Havertz. Do you remember our chat from last time, Ryan?
I don't know. Probably wondering what the hell we were going to do with him. And I still sometimes wonder that myself. But to make a long story short, I had him in every league, and I dropped him at the absolute worst time. But yeah, he was one of the guys that had the biggest impact in the second half of the season. Obviously, when he swapped the absurd midfield role for the number 9 spot up top, and really came good at the end of the season. And you can just tell that he's got a lot of skill. Super frustrating player, just because he's got a bit of Ozil about him in terms of just looking languid and off the pace, but opens up a lot of space for others, and when he wants to, he can finish and do a lot of good things. But gotta say that didn't start out that well, but very happy with how he finished the season. So hopefully he can crack on.
Yeah, I'm so happy for him. I mean, I alluded to it the last time we did the Arsenal Inside Trax episode. Like, I think he's an underrated player. People give him a lot of shit. I mean, rightly so based on what they've seen. But I feel like people don't go above and beyond when they watch football, see the true potential of players in different systems, different settings. You've really got a gem on your hand, man.
Glad to hear it, because it's not. Obviously not indicative of the broader fan base. No people on Twitter are, but the Chelsea weirdos on Twitter that have this fascination with Kai Havertz. Every time he misses a shot, just trying to rub it in, and then when he comes good, they're silent or say that he still sucks. It's this weird obsession with him failing that I think is just pretty odd, but I don't know. I'm glad to hear it, though.
I mean, some people play fan tracks, other people just troll. So
everyone
has a hobby.
Yeah, totally.
No real moves in January, at least ins. I don't think there were any major outs. I only saw one in from the current summer transfer window, and I know we're very early into the preseason. It's kind of a weird position to chat I guess Arsenal assets, Arsenal transfers.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm not really expecting any significant transfer to break into that 11 and be an asset that, managers should be scrambling in their drafts to kind of roster the rest of the season. So the only name I'm seeing here is Lucas Nygaard, and I'm assuming this is just a youth player, like a dynasty sort of pick.
Yeah, no, he won't have a factor. Won't play a factor in this season. Yeah, I think like most clubs, obviously the Euros and the Copa America put a delay into the transfer plans. So I'm expecting things to pick up a bit, but yeah, we might end up having a quiet window. I think obviously everybody was expecting a big striker signing this summer, given
Tony?
no, I don't see it happening. I'm saying in the past tense.
Yeah.
Prior to the second half of the Dubai fueled season, prior to Kai coming good, I think all the expectation was that we'd sign somebody like a Tony or a Oshime or somebody of that ilk. But yeah, I don't see that happening. The big opening, I think, for me is in the midfield. I think we still need, depending on where Arteta wants to play Rice, I think we still need a Thomas Partey replacement, someone in the Bruno Guimaraes mold to come in there and either sit and let Rice continue with that more attacking left center mid role, or to come in as a left center mid and have Rice revert back to more of an 8. So I'm expecting something like that. I've seen a lot of Bruno G, Onana before he was heavily linked with Villa. Zubimendi from Sociedad has been linked. The biggest link I think right now is Mikel Moreno, who is also from Sociedad, who had a pretty good Euros.
Yeah,
is a bit different profile than a lot of the transfers. Edu and Arteta have mostly focused on very young players in their early 20s. Marino's been around the block. I don't know if you remember his time at Newcastle. He's 28. Yeah, 28. Has a decent career. Knows the Prem, as I mentioned, from days at Newcastle. I think he'd be a pretty solid midfield pickup. Not the marquee signing that you'd be looking for, but I think he could do a job. I think it's depending on what Partey's doing. I think all of us thought that he would probably go to Saudi this summer, but those links have apparently dried up. So he has one more year in his contract, so he might want to run that down and leave for free in a bumper payday next summer. So yeah, if he stays, then maybe we don't reinforce in midfield at all. And then obviously the big rumor is Calafiori from Bologna.
Yeah.
Plays left back and left center back. I don't think we really need him. I like Timber at left back, and I like Kiwi, obviously.
I was hoping. I was waiting for an opportunity to bring up Kiwi, man.
I mean, yeah.
What an absolute legend.
Have to tell me twice. Yeah. So I'd probably just shrug my shoulders if he came. I wouldn't be excited. I wouldn't be pissed off. He looks good. Had a great Euros, but I just don't think he's necessary.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So it's been a weirdly quiet window. I'm guessing things will pick up. The outgoings, I think, will be more not exciting, but I think there'll be more outgoings than incomings this summer, and I think there'll be some relatively big names heading to the exits.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I mean, to kind of go back to Kiwi, what I was thinking, and maybe this is a FIFA sort of football manager way of thinking, is that if Kiwi does get that left back spot, maybe that opens up the opportunity for Zinchenko to play in midfield like he does for Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, it sounds like a decent idea because I like the way that he plays for Ukraine, and he can pass the ball very well, and obviously defending is one of his weaknesses, I would say. So that helps fill the left center mid gap, and it takes away one of his weaknesses. But Arteta hasn't done it yet, and he had ample opportunity to do so. I think Zinchenko is probably on the way out this summer.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just too. Especially if you get Calafiore, I mean, I think that would be certainly the nail in the coffin. There would just be too many left backs, too many left-sided defenders. So, yeah, that's if pressed, I think that would be what I would be betting on.
Fair enough. So then, what would be your expected formation starting 11 for majority of next season?
4-3-3. Timber at left back, Gabriel Magalhaes left center back, Saliba right center back, Ben White right back. The tricky one, as I said, is that 8 position. If no transfers come and Partey stays and he's fit, a lot of ifs. Him at the 8, Rice left center mid, Odegaard right center mid. Left wing is another tricky position, but my money's on Martinelli starting game week 1, and then Kai up top, and of course Saka on the right.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, have you tried the Saka hot sauce from Nando's?
I haven't. I'm very upset. I've asked multiple people to try and send it to me. From what I gather, it's over with.
Really? No.
Yeah, it was a limited time only, kind of like the McRib. So
yeah.
I'm hoping maybe I can get like an old bottle on eBay or something. I don't care if it's spoiled or whatnot. I need to taste the goods, but yeah, I was very upset to not be in the UK for that.
Well, listeners, if anyone has a Saka hot sauce bottle, please DM us.
Yes,
we want to help Ryan out.
Yeah, I don't care if the seal's broke. I don't care.
All right, let's jump into some fan tracks now. Unless there's anything else you want to mention player-wise, no.
No, I think that was a good overview.
Yeah, definitely. All right, first pick from Arsenal. I mean, last time we did the whole Arsenal picks or whatever, I think we both agreed that you could have probably grouped 2, 3, 4 of them all together. I mean, you ended up with 4 Arsenal players in the top 20 overall scoring, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, first pick, is it a clear winner in this sense?
I mean, I think Saka's obviously first pick for Arsenal. I think he'd be my first pick overall.
Any fear for penalties? Like him sharing it again? Like
No, I think that was just to spite me. Honestly, every time I played against Odegaard, he got the random penalty over Saka. No, it's clear that Saka's the main penalty kick taker. Kai and Odegaard would be next up if Saka's not on the pitch, but no, I don't fear him losing the majority of penalties. Finished top fantasy scorer last season. The guy doesn't get injured despite all the limping jokes. And Arsenal should only get better. The only thing that could really stop him is if all of the football he's played nonstop with Arsenal and England, obviously didn't get a break with the Euros and going all the way to the final. If all of that caught up to him and he got some muscle related injuries, and God, Arteta just doesn't like to sub him. So
it's brutal, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's hard to watch sometimes, honestly. So if running him into the ground finally caught up to him this season, that would be the only thing that could stop him. But and this is absolutely no bias. If I had top pick, I would take him in a heartbeat.
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
Okay, love it. Next 3 picks and which rounds?
Odegaard, I like late round 1, probably around the 10 spot.
Yeah,
I think he's decent value there. Kai probably number 3. Um, I've seen him go in the latest
Mid
mocks,
second
and
as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's too early for me. I
agreed.
like him more in the third. And then Rice I think would be the next one, and he's in the similar boat. Going way too early. I don't think he's worth a second round pick, but I do like him in the third, I would say. So yeah, those would be my 4 Arsenal picks in that order.
So, would you consider Kai as a possible forward one for any roster?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And Decky Rice, mid 2, or is that too high?
No, I like mid 2. It's just the way he's going. He's going to be mid 1 in a lot of teams, and I just I like the fact that he's reliable and a steady Eddie, and he had his moments, but I just don't think he has enough explosion or war capability to. He's not going to win you a lot of game weeks, and with the second round pick, you're hoping that guy can. So that's just a bit too early for me. Love the guy, but yeah, I just don't think he's worth the second round pick. I think he's going to be a bit inflated coming into this draft.
From a Fantrax perspective, though, do you think it's like he's comparable to the likes of Rodri as like that dependable sort of consistent asset?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you wouldn't take Rodri in the second round, would you?
I mean, I've seen crazier things happen, so.
Never mind then.
All right, let's talk about your hidden gem.
Well, I mean, we talked about him ad nauseum already. I mean, it was going to be Urian Timber. I think he's being slept on quite a bit. Obviously, he missed the entire season. All of these rumors of Calafiore coming in. I'd be very surprised if Timber wasn't the starting left back for the beginning and most of the season if he's fit. Very little data on him Fantrax wise, and it wasn't great. I still don't know what he's going to be good at stats category wise. Great dribbler. I think he can get some successful dribbles. I think he's just going to be one of those guys that is in dangerous positions and is not going to be a amazing ghoster, but is going to have his moments, and I think he's going to be in enough of the attacking third to get some attacking returns, and then obviously being an Arsenal defender on the best defense in the league, he's going to get a fair amount of clean sheets, and I think you can get him late, so probably 11, 12 round. So I think he's going to be value there.
And we've had the adjustment to the scoring for defenders as well, right? So that also plays in his favor.
Yeah. I think it'll obviously help all defenders, but when in games when Arsenal didn't get a clean sheet, there was only a very few games that they conceded more than one. So I think there'll be a fair amount of games where they just concede one goal, and obviously you won't get dinged for that based in the new rule system. So
yeah, would he be your first choice Arsenal defender though?
No, definitely not.
Okay,
I think obviously Ben White will be. Based on his last season. I think he'll probably be a little bit inflated too. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable drafting him as early as the 4th round, where I've seen him. I like a few other defenders.
4th round?
Him. Yeah,
that's wild.
I mean, he had the numbers to back that up. He was definitely a defender one last season, but I think there was a lot of dependence on that right-hand side with the Kai experiment and no consistent left back and no Xhaka. I think it'll be a bit more balanced this season, and I don't think there will be as much reliance on Ben White overlaps. But I think though he might see a bit of a dip. Still love him. He would be the top rated defender. It would be him, then Gabriel, Michael Aish, and then Timber for me. Saliba's just cannot ghost at all. I think he's the best defender in the league in real life, but Fantrax wise, he just does not do anything.
Yeah, if ball recoveries were a thing, I think Saliba would be a lot better. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think he should be getting more successful dribbles than he does, because he can dribble his ass off and he does a lot of that. But I just don't think it counts. I've always said that Opta favors certain players and doesn't others, and I think he's being shortchanged. But it is what it is. So yeah, I think he's going to be overvalued for sure.
Definitely, yeah. All right, let's talk about that trap asset from Arsenal. Who you got?
I think it's Trossard.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
I don't. He finished very well last season, so there's going to be some recency bias going into the draft. But he's one of our best finishers. But I just don't think he's going to be the go-to left winger. I think that's still Martinelli's spot to lose. And so I think he's going to be too inflated for my liking. And I think he's going to be frustrating to roster unless you have him cuffed with someone like Martinelli. So I think he'll probably go around 6, 7 in a lot of drafts. And I think that's
you get better value. Surely.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think he'd be my trap.
So then which round would you be taking Martinelli?
I've seen him go in the 5th, and I think that's great value.
Yeah, agreed. Because, I mean, I feel like last season was a bit of an anomaly with respect to Martinelli.
Yeah, he had a tough season. I think he suffered also from the just woes on the left side, the lack of consistency in terms of personnel. So I think he'll thrive with a fit Timber on that side, and the fact that he'll probably be playing with Rice on that side, and getting some minutes playing alongside him. I think he's due for a resurgence.
Okay, lovely. So now we'll move on to our final segment, which is the advice column section, or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to pick Ryan's brain for a bit. Ryan, speaking to new Fantrax managers, old ones as well, what is your advice regarding trading draft picks, and what experience do you have?
My leagues only allowed it, I think, starting not last season, but maybe 2 seasons ago. So I've done a few deals pre-draft. Last season, I think I had the number 2 pick, and I think I traded back in the draft for the number 10 pick, and I got compensated with a 3rd round pick, and then 7th round pick, and I think I added a 10th round pick. But that's just to say that adding early round draft picks, I think, is more valuable than say the difference between 2 and 10 in the first round. So I'm in favor of it if you think you can get good value. Also doesn't hurt to get a bit of a fab lead going into the new season. There's obviously I think a few weeks lag between start of the season and the end of the transfer window, so there's always some decent signings coming in that you can't draft but will be on the waiver wire. So having even a slim fab lead can help you get those waiver wire signings at the end of the window into your team. So yeah, I think anything you can do to load up on draft picks and fab is usually a good idea. But yeah, it just depends.
So, I mean, given the fact that you've kind of touched on Fab, is there anything else you do with respect to how you budget your Fab for the entirety of the season?
Yeah, I don't know about budget. That definitely, and I've seen this countless times. Do not hoard your Fab to save for the January window. Nine
Mm,
times out of 10, it is not worth it. Um, I've done it before. I think we've all done it before and
yeah.
learned our lesson a long time ago. So definitely don't do that. I yeah, I wrote an article about this called nickel and diming, but I like, in terms of getting Fab in, I like making these small micro transactions in terms of selling players for a buck or two here and there,
Yeah. Yeah.
because especially at the end of the season, $1 is, yeah, the difference between you getting your top waiver wire pick that has a DGW, um, versus losing out to your rival. So every little bit helps. So I'm certainly in favor of selling, players for Fab in the middle of the season. But yeah, I think early part of the season when there's, a lot of uncertainty, people get dropped. There's a lot of impatience. I think you can do a lot of damage early on, in the season if you're smart with your Fab.
Yeah, I was in a league with you last season. I've gotten a taste of how you nickel and dime. You're quite you're quite good at it. And I mean, listen, it allowed you to get players mid-season like Connor Bradley, for example, right?
Mm,
And we all know the purple patch he had. He definitely helped you win some fixtures as well.
yeah, Sarabia.
So yeah, yeah, Sarabi as well. So yeah, I totally believe in it. But I don't know if everyone is as good at it as you are, right? Because maybe they try to sell off some extremely shit players instead of players that actually have some kind of potential.
Yeah, I mean it just takes, yeah, practice, and I
Yeah.
mean a lot of times it's just effort, honestly. Like, if you have, if you picked up, a random streamer and, he's got a good matchup and he's, you see on the weekend that he's going to start, um, and you've already put together your, full 11 and you don't need him, then why not just offer him out to, the rest of your league for a buck or two?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, there'll be somebody in your league, that, needs a good streamer to win them their game week, and they'll be happy to give you a couple bucks. So do that a few times, over the season, and it really helps.
Yeah. Love it. Waiver FA claims. When you make them on a week-to-week basis, do you prefer form? Do you prefer fixtures, or like is it a mixture of both?
Mixture of both. I mean, I think we all look for matchups, especially with streaming, defenders. But, yeah, I don't think it's one or the other. Plus the eye test, especially early on, can give you a good glimpse into, a player. If you see them and you're getting in dangerous positions, or they're on sets and they're just being a bit unlucky, and they're on the wire, I think you can pick them up, because you see that potential. But yeah, foreign fixtures, there's just so much that goes into, the waiver wire.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have time to look at highlights, you can always join the Draft Society, sign up, get advice. Like, come join Discords. Like, get real time advice from Ryan. That's also an alternate solution, right? So,
Yeah,
a little plug there.
absolutely. Thank you.
Let's talk about some Arsenal assets that you would consider buying low and selling high.
In terms of,
So, like Duran Timber, for example, right? Let's say he actually doesn't start the season. He's probably going to end up being dropped in leagues, right? Maybe is that a player that we can potentially buy low? But you also said if he does start the season, he plays, let's say, first 4 or 5 game weeks. He's like lights out in a sense. Do you then sell high on him?
I mean, every player has its price, right? So it depends on what you're going to get. But yeah, I have faith in him. So if he started out like a house on fire coming out of that injury, then those concerns are done. And so I think you'd hold at that point unless you get a crazy offer. Let's see here. So what I think about in terms of buy low, sell high, I like drafting guys that I think are going to be sold at the end of the window and will be good assets in mid-table clubs. The likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, all on my draft boards, especially if those deals haven't gone through by the time I draft. I mean, that's basically getting a mid-3 and round 13 or something like that. There's going to be, and there's other players like that on other teams that
it's I was going to say it's like Morgan Gibbs-White, right? When he did the Wolves to Forest transfer.
Yeah, and I think someone like Madueke maybe this summer has the potential to go to another mid-table club and do well. So I think
nice job.
I was waiting for you to.
It was the cheeky smile.
Our
listeners can't see it, but
oh yeah, I keep forgetting I'm on camera, so yeah, I gave that away. No, players like that. That I mean, we've all taken punts on them and then not panned out, and the transfer doesn't happen. And they stay at their club and they're on the bench, and they're you drop them game week 1, but they can be fantastic value and. Rounds 12 to 16. That's the time to make those punts and get those lotto tickets.
All right. Last season, do you have any best and worst trade that you did?
Oh God, I mean, I already mentioned that I dropped Kai right before he became the number 9 and turned around his entire season. So that was a bad one. I picked up Palmer early on in the season in one league. Obviously, that won me my league.
Yeah.
I like I look back very fondly on waiver wire pickups that even if they were 6-7 week stretches, Kiwi stretch, Pablo Sarabia's purple patch,
Connor Bradley, like we mentioned.
Yeah, Bradley. Well. Those type of players. I mean, I think that's one of the best things about the game is when you take a chance on somebody and it pans out. You just ride it till the wheels fall off. Alfie Doughty turned out to be a longer term pickup than I thought he would be. But yeah, someone like that, those gems that you pick up and they pan out. It's nothing like it. In terms of trades, I don't know.
I don't recall you making a lot of trades last season, to be fair.
Didn't in our league, really. I had something in the queue all season. This one guy in our league, I can't remember his name, but knew I was an Arsenal fan, and he had Jesus, and tried to trade him for Julian Alvarez.
Oh, you're talking about Anonymous.
Yeah. Yes.
He's our West Ham Inside Tracks fan, actually. So what the reason why he named himself
is that Fletch?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm in the same league with him again. Jesus, I hope he doesn't draft him just to do that again.
So the reason he put Anonymous as his name is because he had such a terrible start to the season with injuries and all that sort of stuff. He just didn't want anyone to know who he was.
I did not know that. How did you find that out? Oh, because you knew him.
I just know him. Yeah, I just know him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. He tried to offer that multiple times, and I was very close to it. Thankfully, I didn't because Alvarez was a hell of a season. But I didn't do that many trades last season. Trying to think if there are any in my other leagues. I did trade. I traded Morgan Gibbs-White for. Well, I got Fab. I picked up JWP because I had a Fab lead. If you remember, he was a late transfer.
Yeah.
And then I traded him for Morgan Gibbs-White. And then I traded Morgan Gibbs-White for Gabriel Jesus. So that was not one of my better moments. I didn't really have any standout trades last season. It was a low on trades, I would say.
Yeah, maybe this season. Let's see.
Yeah, it's all depends on your league mates. I certainly like doing it, but not if the negotiation's not fun or somebody's just completely unreasonable.
Yeah. I think every league needs a genie. That's what they need, right?
yeah, for better or worse, to get things going.
Yeah. All right. Final question for you. Lessons learned from previous season. What advice would you want to share with, again, new and old Fantrax managers?
Oh God. Where to begin? I think
you had a good season. Come on, now.
Yeah, I know. There's just so many things that I wish I could tell my old self. 5 seasons ago. I think what goes under the radar a bit is to be able to really have fun with it. I think you have to roster players that you just like to watch. I mean, I think a lot of times it can come down to that. If you just go for stats and numbers, I mean, you can kind of lose the joy of the game. And if you hate Bruno like I do, and you roster him, I mean, you really want to watch him and cheer for him. So avoid drafting players that you hate. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I mean, you can get value for a player that you really enjoy watching, but I think it just helps with the general enjoyment of the game. So, not really tactical advice, but I think for peace of mind, I think that's usually a good thing. But it can go the other way because, like, I even myself find that watching Arsenal, if somebody scores that I don't have, it's just there's the tiny part of you that's just like, well, why didn't you give it to my guy? And that kind of ruins the joy of watching your own team. So yeah, I'd certainly be wary of that too. So it cuts both ways. But yeah, in general, it just I like rostering players that I really like to watch.
Okay, great. Lovely note to end on. All right, listeners, that's all we had planned for this Inside Trax episode of Everything Arsenal. Ryan, it's been a pleasure as always chatting with you.
Likewise, thank you, man.
I'm gonna see much more of you, right? We've got a lot of the draft kit to go. We're gonna be podding as well together next season.
Totally.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to. Any final words before we sign off?
No, I mean, do your prep. We'd really appreciate if you bought a draft kit. We got some great stuff coming out.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, for the draft, I like to have my initial targets in mind, and then I put together a doc with all of my particular picks, and then I try to put 2 to 4 targets that I want for that particular round based on who I want, kind of the mocks that I'm seeing, what the ADP is like, and just do as much prep as you can and have fun out there.
Awesome. All right, listeners, we're going to sign off there. Not sure who the next club rep is. Doesn't matter. You're going to tune in regardless, right? We'll catch you on the next one then. Peace.